It's me, Rav. Bill and I are going on tour this October and November. 30 cities nationwide. Get your tickets now at keepthechangetour.com. Bye-bye.
Thank you to our patrons for helping make this podcast possible.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boys, Rav and Bill.
Hi.
Slightly more scuffed setup than usual, but we're in person together again. This time, my home instead of his in Minneapolis, where I recently moved to. And you've been over for almost a week now. You're leaving tomorrow morning. We've been up to a lot of stuff, a lot of work. And for those possibly wondering, is Rav okay? I'm not on a Xan. I'm just low energy because I have been off of my medication for a few days. I'm back on it today. Started taking it again, but it has had some severe impact on my brain chemistry right now. So I'm going to be a lot lower energy, but it's okay because Bill will compensate.
That's what they call me, the energy man. How I've got so much energy, man. I'm gonna be able to carry. I'm gonna say so many words. You're gonna go every time I talk. It's gonna be beautiful, wonderful time. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's been awesome. Like you said, I've been here for like a week. We've done quite a lot of things. I think the biggest thing was, y'all might have seen, like we did a 24-hour stream, that was on Saturday going into Sunday, and that was a lot. That's the first time I was ever filmed sleeping that I know of, anyway. So that was fun. But yeah, we got into some antics there, and then we've just been like recording tour stuff and just working on getting everything ready for tour. We've been practicing a little bit, doing merch stuff, just like keeping busy. But it's been really fun too, though. Like we've also like consumed a lot of ramen, which I'm not complaining about at all because I really enjoy ramen. And we had a cook-off on stream. That was a thing, remember? Where I totally mopped the floor with you with my ramen pomodoro, my microwaved ramen pomodoro.
I didn't say this on stream because I didn't want people to turn on me, but I cooked him, y'all. I'm telling y'all that ramen pomodoro was a very challenging meal to go through.
I took some risks.
Yeah, I mean, flavor-wise, it wasn't the worst. It's just the texture.
It was a lot. It was
just.
Yeah. I mean, if I was stoned enough, I could probably.
If I was stoned, I would have loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I think yours is pretty good. It's pretty good omar rice.
I mean, it's kind of hard to make an omar rice just using a microwave and paper plates.
I mean, all things considered, that was like fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean?
The same goes for yours, given that, like, again, we didn't even have mugs.
I will say, I have to get some kind of points for my ingenuity because, okay, so Rav has just moved in here, okay? You have plastic silverware right now. No, we have paper plates, no like mugs, no pans, any kind of cookware, right?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to figure out, because I thought it would be funny because of the whole, like, you like Pomodoro, like that recurring thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to cook him a Pomodoro, but I had nothing to cook the noodles in. So this is what I did. I ordered a thing of ramen noodles, like a cup of ramen noodles, took all the noodles out of that, then took a pack of ramen noodles with no seasoning and put it in there with water, did the noodles, drained them, then put Pomodoro sauce and like butter and a little bit of mozzarella cheese. It was a little intense, but I gotta say I was proud of myself.
It was very creative, and you didn't decide to go like a super easy route, and you applied a lot of creativity and ingenuity.
Yeah.
Sure.
I took some risks. Maybe there were some pitfalls with those risks. Who was to say? Yeah. Definitely not this guy. You know?
But that was fun.
Yeah.
Limitations breed creativity.
It's like I was so excited when the Uber Eats guy came with our delivery. Like I was like, oh, he got all the ingredients. It's time. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
We did a couple hours of karaoke.
Yeah. I did a very intense rendition of Higher by Creed to kind of wrap up the karaoke. I remember that. I was very tired, but Scott Stapp's Christian energy and lyrics pushed me forward because what would Jesus do? That's right, sing Creed after you've been up for a long time, So
it's pretty good. I wish you did with Arms Wide Open.
Yeah, those are both great. Yeah.
Yeah. You sang your dang heart out.
I really put my whole.
No, you didn't.
You don't think so?
No, I think some of the songs are just absolutely awfully delivered.
I thought I did really good.
I think you did really good sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes for sure.
Are you being
Other times you were absolutely not,
What was one that was
Tallyman, Mr. Tallyman?
Yeah.
That one
was really rough.
If at least you could have hit some of the notes.
Yeah. It kind of caught me off guard because I didn't know the name of that song. Because I still don't remember what the name of the actual song is. It's not just Tallyman. It has a different name. And I didn't know what it was until a few bars in. You know what I mean? And then by that time, I was already cooked. It was just over. I just didn't think I could. I had to get I was confused. I felt like it was like in a whirlwind of ruining a song. You know what I mean?
I think sometimes you just got to commit, in those moments. I think we did. You know what? It's better to commit than to just be like, fuck it, I give up.
Exactly. Especially when it comes to crimes.
What else did we do on stream? Here's the Gundam. Can you pass it to me?
Oh, yeah.
We ordered a Gundam as part of one of the things to assemble. I haven't assembled him yet, but why didn't it focus? That's strange. Oh, there we go. There he is. Look at him. Wow. He's a fella.
He looks just like you.
Appreciate it. So
in every way.
Thanks. So we are going to. I will probably assemble it at some point.
Yes.
But I will show it to you before and after.
Thanks.
I'll show you.
I could see it now for the before.
Yeah, let's take a look at the before.
Yeah, pop it open.
I mean, to the audio viewers.
I can describe exactly what's happening to the audio viewers. Don't worry. So he's opening the box.
Of what?
Of the Gundam box. Gundam. All right. And his dick's out. Oh, that's really weird. That's really awkward. Why are you doing that? Okay. Whoa.
And here's the
instruction manual.
Yeah.
It looks complicated in a fun way.
It looks real fun. I look forward to doing this. This looks fun. Oh, do I have to paint him or? No, he comes with this kind. But if I wanted to, I could.
You could. Nothing's stopping you.
Yeah, and you're sorry for these sounds. I'm gonna put this away. Bill's been very helpful. Helped me move in a lot of the furniture. I tried to take care of a lot just before you got here. Like the day before you got here, I set up the desk and all that. But since you got here, you helped out with the TV.
Yes, that was a fun journey. Oh, okay, first of all, trying to get the TV here was also a fun journey.
Yeah, that's right. Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, so we go to Best Buy and okay, I have this thing. I love hanging out with people who are furnishing a new home because it's it almost feels like Christmas a little bit. You're oh, they're getting all these new things or whatever, right? And so he's like, yeah, dude, I want to get a TV. And we actually went to Walmart at 11 p.m. or something at one point, just being oh, let's go get a TV. And then they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
It was kind of not the best selection. So I'm all excited the next day, oh, we're going to Best Buy. We're going to get this TV. So Rav gets this TV. It's a 85-inch TV, okay? And I didn't think about the transporting it back to his apartment thing. I don't think that really was in my mind, too much.
I thought about it before, but I was under the impression that we'd be able to order like a minivan or something through Uber.
Yeah, which is weird that they don't do that.
I agree.
I actually looked because like he ordered one Uber, like a Uber XL, and then the guy was like straight up just like, no, there's no way it's gonna fit. And so I'm looking up like on like just Googling, I found a Reddit thread of someone who's literally like, I'm at a Best Buy right now and I just bought an 85-inch TV. I don't have a car. How do I get it back home without delivering it and it taking like 3 or 4 days or whatever?
Right.
And so in one of the comments, like a lot of people were like, hey man, you can't do that. Or like, maybe you could try this. But one of the comments was just like, Uber is for transporting, not for hauling. You fucking idiot. Like just goes off on this dude. Like no one interacted with this comment. I just saw it in the wild. Like just this dude, like a whole ass paragraph of just like if you want something done, you do the right thing. You don't do the fucking wrong thing. What you're doing is the wrong thing. Like it's just like he was just taking out all of this anger out on this random dude on Reddit.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And I'm reading this and like Rav's over here like ordering another Uber.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, they're just saying it might be tough. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we ended up giving up. We were gonna like get a U-Haul basically, but we ended up not being able to for reasons. And so then it was like, okay, cool, we're just gonna get it delivered. But it came in, was that yesterday? It's all like been a blur at this point.
I think it was 2 days ago.
Yes, I think you're right.
Are you guys able to maybe turn the gain down just a smidge on Bill?
Check.
I think that's good. That sounds good.
I just get loud when I'm excited.
Good. You're always excited. That's good. What were we talking about?
Well, for one, you're now tuning in to Void FM.
No, but that's awful. How it's gonna cut.
4052, why don't you turn around and let's get back into the table. Okay. At this turn around to your right, set up. Following. I just made him. Alright, got it. Walk around it. I just denied that field if you pick up the main set. I don't want to go into the spot if I can afford it. That's right. Let them get a view from there and I'll see what the field of view looks like.
Here we are. We're back from the intro. That was a very good intro.
Thanks. I don't get to do them very often, and I feel very like happy with and proud of myself. And I'm glad that you're proud of me too.
Did I say I was proud?
Yeah, I can just tell in your eyes. You have this kind of look of like, yeah, you know.
You know me well.
I know. But yeah, so yeah, you got the TV, but it was a bit of a journey to get the TV.
I'm just thinking. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I'm trying to apply foresight and thinking how the fuck Mitch is gonna cut that together. I'm trying to. There's no way he is gonna be able to cut from our conversation to you doing that intro.
And then back into talking about the TV again.
Yeah, but like, there's a part of me that was thinking, like, it's so bad that it's funny though.
Mm-hmm.
That like, so maybe we should keep it. But then it's like, there's no way he can stitch it to make it look like, yeah, see, isn't it stupid how stupid this is? It'll just look like we're actually stupid.
Just leave all this in.
Is that the secret? Okay.
The secret is to be completely transparent.
Okay, all right. You know what? I think you're right. Let's include parts of this, parts of whatever happened. You know what? Let's just let Mitch figure this out. You know,
I got all the faith in the world.
It's so good that we don't have to have any regard for Mitch's job. You know, when we're doing this podcast,
He's got it.
We don't have to have any considerations of how like we introduce things or etc.
It'll be good.
As the hosts, you know.
I'll make it work.
All I'm saying is, All I'm saying is I did something unorthodox. I took a risk.
You took a risk.
I've been taking a lot of risks up here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What are some of your other risks you've been taking?
The Pomodoro was a risk. I threw your phone down to you.
Okay.
That was kind of a risk. That was a collective risk.
I mean, like, I asked you to do it.
Yeah, but I did it. Think about that.
Sleeping on stream's a risk. What if you got a boner?
Well, who's to say I didn't?
You didn't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's actually perpetually bricked up.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's learned to
That's
hide
my
it.
secret. Is I'm always bricked up. Yeah. Yeah. That's 3.
Yeah. I mean, like, the throwing the phone down does not count as your risk. I feel like.
What is
It's my phone.
But wait, think about it like this: if I threw it and it hit you on the head and it killed you, then I would have been.
It wouldn't have. I wrapped it in bubble wrap, put it in a bag that I wrapped in itself. Then I put it in a backpack that was padded, and I asked him to drop it down from the 3rd floor to the ground floor. I told him where to drop it. You dropped it, and I caught it.
All I'm saying, I know you did great. All I'm saying is like you could have ended up on 6 Million Ways to Die or whatever in a freak accident, and then I'm risking my freedom. I'm risking losing my friend. I'm risking some other.
Anyway, you
thing.
risked it and it worked, right? It paid off. The other 2 risks you did not pay off.
The sleeping did pay.
Oh
off.
wait, sleeping. Okay, all right.
They
So
didn't see
4
my
risks.
boner.
So okay, so 50% of your risks paid off. What have you?
How many days have I been here? Did I get here on Thursday?
Yeah.
So today's Tuesday.
Yes, you've been here for 5 days. Yes.
5 days, 4 risks.
Yes,
And I could do another one now. Who knows?
but only 50% of those risks paid off.
Well, you gotta win some to lose some. You gotta lose some to win some. Whatever that is.
What if for those listening in, especially the younger audience, right? What have you been able to extrapolate in terms of knowledge from your risk taking lately, and what advice would you bestow in accordance with your findings?
Listen, you gotta go with your gut. You gotta if someone tells you, hey, maybe don't do that thing, just don't listen to them. Just kind of do it anyway, with no regard for yours or their feelings. And
That doesn't sound like you.
no, but this
sound almost like the opposite.
This is the new me.
You're the opposite. If somebody says do something, you'll be like, I don't want to hurt their feelings.
That's true, but the new year.
They're like, suck me off right now, you piece of honky shit. Hey, get over here, you ugly ass cracker.
Wait. The way you backpedaled from piece of shit to piece of honky shit is crazy. Insane.
Well, I wanted to say you honky piece of shit.
Valid, but insane.
I wanted to say you honky piece of shit and accidentally stuttered to you piece of honky shit, which is different. But still.
It feels like donkey shit.
Yeah, donkey shit. It's what it sounded like.
Yeah, it doesn't really like portray the whiteness.
Anyway, like somebody's like, suck my dick, you fucking ugly freak. You'd be like, I don't want to hurt their feelings.
That's right, I don't. I don't.
Wait, you don't want to hurt their feelings. So like you're going to be like, okay, you're a bit mean.
I'm a bit mean and I
they're
really
a bit
go in
mean.
on it. Oh.
Because they called you a piece of shit.
Right. But this is the new me. I don't know where this is going anymore. It went from take risks to like you gotta suck this guy's dick or no. Like what is the?
Moving on to other.
Oh, he was saying it as an insult. For some reason, I thought that you were literally like, "Hey, suck my dick, suck me off, you honky piece of shit." Like that.
And then I clarified later multiple times. He says this.
Yes. I got that.
But then why would I say that?
I'm not saying that you said that.
Oh. Welcome to the Boomer podcast. This is like, you know what?
No, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
This is going to be.
No, let me this what I'm saying is that you're saying suck my dick as in fuck you, right? like as an insult. Like not you, but the person who's saying this is saying suck my dick as in fuck you.
No, not
They're saying
necessarily.
they're asking me to suck their dick.
It's like, I never specified that.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to get to the bottom of that.
What? Okay, they might mean both. They kind of mean both. Both that you're fucking ugly and they hate you, but also like, fucking suck me right now, you fucking prick.
Okay. So you're asking me what I would do in that scenario? Like, do I do it?
Yeah, of course, I'm saying in that scenario you would, because you're like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I guess it's just like none of my friends use Snapchat.
Yeah.
Like even like younger friends. You know what I mean?
How many younger friends do you have?
A few. Most of the people in my apartment complex I'm friends with are all like 25.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? I feel like everyone always thinks I'm younger than I am.
Yeah.
Like they always assume that I'm like 27 or something.
Yeah. You definitely
Then I'm like, then they learn that I'm 48.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey.
Oh, they're like,
Oh, this wasn't like a bit.
Yeah, they're like, oh, no, that explains so much. I mean, you look young. You look young, but the age makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm a boomer about all those kinds of apps.
It is weird though, because I feel like, I mean, I never like got carded much because I had the beard, and I think that just like automatically makes you like no one cards you, you know. But like
you get carded whenever you go places with me though.
Sometimes, but it's because you're youthful.
Yeah, but then I think they card you because they're like, we have to card him too.
Oh yeah. Or like if you don't want to be like, hey, one of the things that I've noticed is like sometimes it'll be like I'll be there and they'll like card me first.
Yeah.
If I'm with someone, you know what I mean? Like, or like with you, sometimes they'll card me so it's like it doesn't like look like they're like profiling someone as younger or whatever. Yeah. What was I gonna say? But I'm getting more like, okay, I know that like people in service industry of any sort like use like sir a lot more, you know, just in general. But like when I hear people say it now, I feel like there's a little more weight to it.
Oof.
Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, such and such sir, and I'm just like,
you know what? I'm like almost the opposite, where when people don't use sir, it pisses me the fuck off.
Really?
It's at a point where I'm just like mad. I'm like, I usually don't care. But when like a person in front of me is getting served like as a sir or ma'am, when it's to me like, what's up, man?
Weird, yeah.
Like, well, yeah, dude. Cool. And I'm just like,
see, if someone calls me man, I'm all like, hell yeah, we're best friends now.
Well, it really depends on the scenario where you are, because most of the time, you know me, I'm pretty chill. I don't give a fuck. I want people to be informed with me.
You get violent.
Yeah, but in certain instances where it's just like, okay, if it's also coupled with them not taking me seriously or giving me as much like attention as they would who they perceive to be a full-on adult.
Yeah.
Like a 6'3" man in a suit, you know, my age, or even 6 years younger than me, is going to be talked to as if like they're a grown adult, you know? And if I'm pulling up like in my Bass Pro Goth style, or anything basically that's kind of casual or hip hop or street clothing, whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't get taken seriously because I think combination of the clothing and my youthful looks.
I feel like the clothing does add a lot though. Like not like you, because you don't dress like oh my God or something, right? Like it's not like you're like out there, you know, but like there is kind of like, oh, like he seems cool. I think I can be casual with him.
No, that definitely happens for sure. Yeah. And also like when, like Verizon today again as well, like when people find out you're a rapper, they're trying to be cool. They're trying to be like, oh man,
I got something to say about that. I got a whole thing.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, man. I could check you out. You know, I could check your shit out. Dope. Yeah. Dope. Like I'm like, you weren't talking to me like this moments ago, white man.
Yeah.
But which is fine. But that is an okay scenario, specifically where it's like, I don't know, where it's like it feels condescending because they think I'm younger. And the thing is, it's not like, I'm not mad that, oh, well, I'm actually a grown-ass man. It's more so like, why would you treat someone who you think is younger like this either?
Yeah.
It's just like, why don't you just treat everybody with like a decorum?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's just like not even, to me, it's like not even using like sir or ma'am or whatever. It's like more about how people talk to you. Yeah. Like when I worked at Ruby Tuesday, I never used a lot of sirs and ma'ams, but I was very like personal with people, and I tried to make them feel like at home, and I
use sir and ma'am a lot.
Me?
I use sir and ma'am a lot.
I do, but I feel like I turned it off a little bit there, if that makes any sense.
How come?
I think that just wasn't how I was. Like, I don't use like a lot of pronouns in general. It would just be more.
You don't believe in pronouns?
Yeah, I don't believe in these pronouns. Okay, but no, it would be like I would try. Well, one, I didn't want to misgender anyone because that's a thing that it happened to me one time because like I just didn't think about it. I said they. And then, which I think is like kind of like what you're supposed to do if you don't know. That's what I've always done. But
instead of sir or ma'am,
I said them.
Hello, they.
No. Like when I was talking to someone, I referred to them as them and not as. This was a cis white lady.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but she was like, I'm her, she. Which I didn't misgender.
Okay,
I caused
couple of questions. So A, they, them is gender neutral, isn't it not? Like you could literally use it for anyone. It's like a polite form, right?
When I said misgendered, I didn't actually misgender this person, but like it caused like a bit of a kerfuffle, and like I wasn't in an area where like I'm in very conservative South Carolina. And it felt like it was like almost like her being like a Karen type thing. But I just wanted to avoid that. Or
my second point was going to be, why the hell are you even talking about a person in third person when they're in your presence? Isn't that a faux pas socially?
I might have said they, like, oh, they asked for this or something like that.
Oh, okay. Like when someone comes up like, hey, what the fuck what's going on here? And you're like, oh, they asked for souls.
Yeah. I can't remember what.
And she was like, actually, I'm she, her.
Yeah, but it was like that. Yeah, it was a little crazy. I'm like remembering this as it goes, but but it was something like that. And then I realized like I was just kind of like, okay, I just started using you a lot more in general, and the way I talked was a little bit like easier to.
Someone comes over like, what is it that this person needed? The person you're serving needed. What happened? How do you refer to this person then? What do you say to them now? Like this person, someone comes up to you, coworker, you're serving someone like, what does the table want? Person needed.
The scenario that you're presenting me with doesn't actually happen.
Okay, then how did you say she, they, them in their presence?
Oh, to them? I was, or to her, I was just like, hey, like, I don't know, I was talking to someone else at the table. I don't remember the exact thing, but I was talking to somebody, and then I like referred to that person as like, oh, what did they want?
What I'm saying is in another, like, how would you handle it is what I'm saying. What would be the difference?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I guess I really wouldn't handle it any different. I don't think I did anything wrong, but like, I just tried to avoid gendered terms for the most part. Which I guess would be just doing the same thing I was doing.
Yeah. Thank you for playing along with my scenario.
Well, I'm sorry, because I'm like realizing now it's like I thought it was dumb then. Like the whole scenario was dumb. So it's like hard for me to be like, oh.
You said then you started to avoid the terms, that you changed the way that you spoke. I was like, okay, so how would you have changed that? From like before to after, how would have that situation played out? If you were like back to, I can't say they, them. Last time I did that, that fucking fired back.
I would say the person wanted it.
The person sitting here wanted it. The person in this chair.
This individual, yes, and pointed them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I feel like I was like remembering this wrong.
Okay. Because when you were telling it to me, this sounded for a second like something someone would say on a Joe Rogan podcast. Like, bro, and I'm not fucking kidding, dude. And then this happened. I just said, oh, they would like this. And she was like, I'm she, her.
This was definitely a Republican lady who said this too.
How do you know that?
Just huge Republican vibes, dude.
Oh yeah,
like Republican flag. They had Republican flag shirts. No, they had like very patriotic coded. I don't know if she was trying to make a statement
A lot of the Democrats are patriotic. I mean, look at Kamala Harris. So proud to have such a amazing army, big, powerful military. Literally, what she said.
You're definitely right. Yeah, but no, it was a little insane.
Yeah, that sounds pretty insane. If you could go back in time and meet her again and serve her again, what would you do?
I would do this thing that I do in my dreams a lot. I have dreams about being a server from time to time. Like I have to go back. Yes.
That's PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And in all of those dreams, it has one of two endings. One is I go and I get sat with like 8 tables at once, and then I freak out and have just a stress dream the entire time. Or I realize it's a dream and I start lucid dreaming and I do the same thing every time, which is the best. I will lay my body across the table and then roll around in their food. Just kind of like, and then just go like, ah!
Is that for real?
Yeah, for real, yeah. I do that in my dreams, and it's so funny every time, because I realize, I'm like, oh, dude, you're having a server dream.
What starts happening in the dream? Like, once you start realizing you're doing this and you're rolling around, how does your brain interpret, like, how does your brain react with both you being lucid dreaming whilst also trying to make the situation of building this world? Does it all start to kind of fall apart? Do people go silent?
No, well, it's usually towards the end of the dream.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's never like, it's usually when I'm in the process of waking up. So it's like, it doesn't really go further than that. It's just kind of like, it's like in the same like 90s movie, like, what is he doing? Kind of like reactions. And then I just wake up usually. Yeah, I would give anything if I could go back and without any repercussion. Like, I remember a table that I had that was like just the worst. And it was a big table. It was a party of people. It was like 12 people. They were there for a birthday party, and they stayed in my section the whole time. And they had kids running around, and they didn't give a fuck what the kids were doing. They were just kind of running around everywhere. They didn't tip me. They were trying to like scam me. They were trying to like move orders around and stuff. Like it was like, I got the lobster. They're like, I didn't get the lobster. We never even got the lobster. That kind of situation. So I ended up like losing money basically on this day. If I could go back, I would gladly just like sit my real life body on there and just roll around in their food while like screaming obscenities. And not even obscenities. I think I just want to be like more, just kind of like I said before, like like really kind of lean into the absurdist nature of it.
You are now tuning into Void FM. I'm just giving a second option for Mitch in case the first one is a
Thank
big
you.
Are you familiar with Westworld?
Yeah, I've never watched it, but I get the general vibe.
Do you know the premises?
Well, it's like cowboys and robots.
Okay, so for those that aren't familiar, a bit of a spoiler here. So if you don't want to know, skip a minute.
What if I did this? Like I didn't want to hear it. I just
skip a minute or two ahead.
Okay.
So this is sometime in the future, right? And basically, there is a service that you can pay for, like an experience that's been commodified, where you pay a sum of money to go into this world that has been built, and it's inhabited with a bunch of like humanoid kind of creatures that look human, but they're actually just robots or AI or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to imitate the Wild Wild West, and so you go in there and you can just do whatever you like. For a certain amount of time. You could do whatever you like, which means you could, have an awesome adventure. You could do this, that, and the third, and there's ways to prevent you from actually getting harmed at the park.
That's sick.
Other things, right?
That's sick.
But you can harm all these robots and other things, and so a lot of people who come there end up raping them, beating the shit out of them, killing them, etc. It becomes a place for people to go and just kind of like, it becomes like the axe throwing of the future.
It's like the rage room.
It's like a rage room.
Like more fucked up.
But way more fucked up. There's actual people. Imagine if a rage room, you walked into a rage room that like was like like a big world almost, right?
Yeah.
And like you could do anything with no repercussions.
Right.
So what if in the future, in the not so distant future, they come up with a new variation of the rage room, where you get to program either through your memory or through photos or whatever, a location, and you can like basically hallucinate people or program people that you know, specific people in it,
Right.
and then go in there and do whatever you want, with some exceptions. Like you can't, you know, like there's certain things. It's just so that never.
I don't think I'm gonna do any.
No
of the
debauchery.
Things that, yeah. We're not gonna do any of the things that you're saying.
But some awful things like killing or beating or like, you know, just like
Killing's fine. I'm okay with killing.
Yeah. So basically like a rage room, but there's like, it's like not just some random office that you're trying to project your own office cubicle onto. It's literally your office cubicle. It's literally that, and the cubicles nearby you.
But they're all, everything's like, there's no real consequence.
There's no real consequences, but it's literally the same people. It looks like the same people you work with, etc. Do you think such a thing should exist? Do you think that such a thing would be healthy?
Oh, that's tough, dude. That's tough because it feels like, I feel like, talk about boomers, the fucking, violent video games are ruining our youth. I feel like that would actually fuck. Because like, if I was like, let's say, what age could you start doing this?
Let's say you have to be 21.
Okay, 21. So if you're 21 years old and you can basically can you do this kind of ad nauseum just whenever you want, or you have to pay for it?
You have to pay for it.
Okay.
It's a service, an expensive service, but
it's expensive, so it's kind of like a special occasion thing.
Yeah, it's like like let's say it's at least $1,000 or something.
Okay, so it's like
at first, but maybe who knows? Once other people find out ways to like be able to recreate it at a cheaper price, you know, with cheaper technology or streamlined technology, then you're going to have competitors, and the prices are going to start coming down potentially.
Well, my thing is this. Like, I feel like there's two ways of looking at it, right? Is that like, okay, like this could be good for people and that they get to take out maybe frustrations or just like live out like a fantasy life. It's like playing The Sims, but they're living with no consequence basically. But I also think that it's like who is to say that somebody like goes in there, kills somebody, and then realizes like, damn, I really fucking love killing people.
Well, I mean, then they need to, you know. Well, I think there's an issue of like, I'd be worried about developing muscle memory through haptic feedback of killing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
because the difference between killing in a video game, etc. It's like, first of all, it's not a real person. It's not someone in your life, and there is no haptic feedback. Throwing axes or going to a gun range and printing a picture of your ex-wife, hanging it up and shooting. I don't even know if that's legal or not, but I imagine some freaks out there have figured out a way to do that, right?
Yeah.
Is there something crazy with that? 100%. But again, it's not the real person. There's no back and forth. But in a room where there is a back and forth, please don't, whatever, like extrapolate from your memories.
Yeah.
You know, unless you program it to like where like, please don't make them laugh, don't make them cry, don't make them just like, once I start shooting them, just make them go limp, you know, or something.
It sounds so insane when you say it like that.
Yeah.
When I start shooting them. Yeah, I think that it's
But I mean, like a rage room is essentially, I know that sounds crazy. I know that right now this sounds crazy. All of this sounds crazy in the world that we live in. I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that like one of those rooms where you go and just break shit and explode shit is bad. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's probably good in the sense that like it's a way to take a frustration out.
I feel like it can just be fun.
It can be fun, right?
Yeah. Just like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think if it's fun, then it's like, why is it fun? Well, if destruction is fun, I get it, but killing?
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that's fun, but to talk about the rage room, because I've never done a rage room, and like, I don't think that like I would go to a rage room while like angry though. Like I would go to be like, oh yeah, like, oh, there's a vase. What would it be like if I've never just like broke a vase to just break a vase. You know what I mean? Or like whatever the thing is.
But what stops a person from being angry and going there? And is that a bad thing?
I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but I do think that if that's like your go-to thing is
that's
like,
a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's not that's a
deeper thing, but I also feel like the person who, like that person's going to be angry whether they go or not.
Well, that's not necessarily true. They go and their anger might subside. Their anger, they're not addressing where their anger is coming from, but they're addressing the frustration. They're basically letting some water out of the cup before it runs over.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I just think that
but the water's still dripping unless they address the
that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like it's less of a I don't even think it's a red flag really. If you want to go to a rage room because you want to break some shit because you're just mad at the world or whatever, I don't even think it's necessarily a red flag. But I do think it's something that if that's something if that's where your brain goes to. And oh man, I'd love to just go in a room and break stuff because I'm fucking pissed. That you probably need to be in therapy. Not you're even dangerous.
But how would somebody know? So here, boom, in between the current scenario and the future scenario. VR or AR rooms where you go in and it mimics your home through AR or whatever. It kind of you send them ahead of time your schematics of your home or your ex's home or the local 7-Eleven or whatever the fuck it is.
It's always the ex.
Well, because I think the people who you would look out for, need to look out for
that would
is men who have lost their minds,
Yeah.
Who are not of sound mind, not very healthy. So VR or AR, that could be and you would think who the fuck would make something like that, right?
Yeah.
But then you remember the world we live in, and of course someone's gonna make that. Of course there's gonna be someone who's going to make a thing where you can, and especially through AI, it's gonna be streamlined
Easy.
so quickly.
Yeah.
With the help of AI, you'll be able to have these people react in a way that looks similar to the people.
For sure.
And imitate their voices and other things. And right now it still sounds sketchy and everything, but eventually it'll get better. Someone's going to do that. Is there a body out there? You know how there is, there's a governmental body that's assigned to in the event we ever interact with aliens, these are the people that are assigned to it. This is the governmental body that's assigned to specialize in that. Is there someone who's also thinking about things the access to technology and AI of just realizing our imagination boundlessly, right? Obviously there's still limitations now, but we're running through them quite quickly. And there's already the issue of deepfakes, right?
Yeah.
Especially deepfake porn, right? This feels like just the beginning, the precipice of what's to come.
Yeah, it's we're seeing the surface level. I think because I know all the stuff that happened with deepfake porn, Taylor Swift's team, doing. Did they sue or what did they do?
I'd have to look into it.
I just remember that it brought light to this thing that was happening. And it felt to me that if something doesn't happen there soon, then it's gonna be everywhere.
Yeah.
It'll be just porn of everyone at all times everywhere.
Right.
You know?
But 100%, right?
Yeah.
So
it's there should be some sort of, in my opinion, a governmental regulation team in the same way that they have Internal Revenue Service or FBI
or even maybe making certain things just straight up illegal. Recreating another person's likeness with the help of AI in videos where it's indistinguishable could maybe be made illegal unless you have that person's consent and stuff like that. Because it's tantamount to revenge porn. It's
for sure, especially it's if
child pornography too.
Exactly, yeah, it's straight up illegal porn.
Yeah.
like animal stuff. It could be literally anything because of the way where you said it's boundless imagination, and it's just to me, I feel that's something that in the same way, not to get too sidetracked on that, but it's the same kind of thing as what you're saying with this idea of a AI rage room or whatever the thing is. That I think it is kind of a slippery slope with any of that, and it's they should probably
maybe in the distant future when they do allow us to participate. When I say they, the government basically fails to regulate this new commodity of an experience, and we have mini Westworlds all over the world where we could just go in a room or a home and have it recreated. In the future, maybe they have some sort of scoring sheet or something like that, where while you're in there, like it tracks your performance and like scores you on a certain thing, and then based on your score, at the end of it, it like either bars you from ever going again to these kinds of places because of like your behavior, almost like a credit score, right?
Oh,
but instead of a
like
credit score, it's emotion. Like it's your morality,
intelligence and your morality.
Yeah. So
it's also like there is like a part. I just like had this weird thought inside my head too while you were talking about it. It's like even the idea of going there and doing wholesome things sounds very sad.
Yes, but how is that different too? Like let's say in Japan where people go to a host club, right?
Yeah, I mean,
pampered or
I don't find anything wrong with that, but I also think that it's not that it's like anything like
you're paying for an experience. At least it's real people. That's true.
Yeah,
but you're still ultimately
it's like
paying for
a kind of service that you were paying for. I guess it's the same thing with this, but like with this, I think like okay, I just thought about this, like the idea of like a very lonely person, akin to the type of person that would go to like not like a host club, but just like the people that like pay for like dates and stuff. I know that's like a thing, like those like older people, very like shy people, awkward people, whatever, like going and then like being like, oh, like falling in love in this West world. Yeah. And then, okay, cool.
Well, they have to get barred as well.
Exactly.
Maybe they would kind of keep some sort of rules like that. Or maybe it's fine and it's like, well, this is of their choosing or their own volition. They're a grown person and yes, it is sad. In my opinion, it's super sad. I feel like it's the government's, it's the responsibility of the people that we elect to be in charge of like the distribution of resources, right?
Yeah.
So the government in our case, it's like on them, I think, to also be addressing things that are like pandemics, right? And instructing us accordingly. And perhaps and epidemics as well. And I feel like if you're getting to a point, or arguably we're already there, and, you know, been there forever, but like if you're getting to a point where people are incredibly lonely and there's like a loneliness epidemic, I think AI is a very sad solution because, yeah, it's cool. You can live in like this fantasy world, you know, but that just feels like abandoning even trying to like help people for real, like figuring out a way where it's like, oh, maybe like as society, like we keep seeing loneliness coming up as like a more recurring issue and there's patterns and things like that. Maybe we're like doing this wrong. Maybe we're like as a society, we're not like functioning so well where we're like starting to like not take good care of ourselves and some of our people, right? Yeah. And we are pack animals. We really depend on the unit. As individual as we like to feel, ultimately we all depend on each other.
For sure.
So AI, I worry, is going to be the solution to loneliness because it is the cheapest. We're close to it, it's streamlined, and it's like it's dodging the responsibility by basically going like, oh, well now this has been commodified. Happiness, the sensation of happiness has been commodified.
Yeah.
You know, like just like sex is a commodity, food is a commodity, and many other things are a commodity. Now it's just the feeling of belonging will become something that is going to be more easily commodified.
It's interesting because I think that's certainly the road that we'd be going down.
Yeah.
Because it's like, look at it. Like, I mean, if you were a super lonely younger person, you know, like, you know, I guess you don't even have to be a younger person, but like, I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, I guess I was like lonelier when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Not even like the idea of like an AI girlfriend or just an AI friend. Because like whatever like we have now for that, right? Mm-hmm. Like whatever like AI text generated, that type of thing, it would not be the same as this thing. This would be like probably would talk to you and would like actually remember. It would be like a person, you know. It's like it's weird. And how much? Okay, my question is like how much of it is like we're just raised to think, or societally like we think it's weird now because it's like not a thing, and then like people like 2 generations from now are like, oh yeah, like everybody has an AI friend. In the same way that like I think maybe people looked at like video games or whatever, because like growing up, especially like where I was younger and it was in a conservative town where not a lot of older people
I think there
that
can be a
illustrate?
healthy way to like, yes, especially people with chronic loneliness or depression, and if they're completely alone, maybe with the guidance of either a therapist or a psychiatrist, like I think that could maybe make sense with some medication along the way and therapy, but leaving it up to individuals to figure it out, I worry that it's not going to be healthy.
Yeah. Well, that's also the thing too, is like, if like the people who have money are in charge of that, then it's not going to be the healthy thing. Whatever the thing is, I mean, like look at any other like addictive thing. I mean, like if you look at like apps and the way they're like
subscription based.
Everything's subscription based. Everything is like, how can I keep you on this app as long as possible? Like, don't leave our app. We'll like punish you if you leave. Punish people who try to get you to leave your app.
Yeah.
It's like everything is like very like, keep you here, you stay here.
And I also just feel like it's kind of cruel to allow that to be like, it's for you to tap into a prosthetic relationship. Because once you get your fucking cho bit, right? Then like, what's incentivizing you to be participating in society?
I think in a world where that's happening, then nothing would. And then a lot of people just wouldn't.
Just everyone kind of exists in their own bubble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at like, like how people like
kind of already do. People with their mobile phones. If you look outside, people kind of have their own bubble.
Well, we're talking about like, I mean, like less people are like getting into especially like Japan, for example, right?
And
like
China, and Korea, they're all struggling with and even I think in America, just people are just not as fucking as much.
It's crazy how many people I see say the thing like you come across with like, oh, like I would love to have a kid, but like I feel fucked up bringing a kid into this world right now. And it's like such a maybe it's just my age group or whatever. That's like such a popular thing to hear. And like I totally get it if you want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. Like that's not a crazy take to me. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm like, and I think that's it's going to happen more and more. As everyone is like, this is very like individualistic, like, hey.
What if you can have like this whole AI imagination, like, oh, well, actually, in this world, you and your ex never broke up. So you have this AI and you have a kid together and everything. And then it becomes kind of like, when you wake up sometimes from a really good dream and it lasted so long, it felt like it lasted years. Yeah. And you're like, well, take me back. That world was so perfect. I built relationships in that world. I did so many things. I want to go back. But you don't have that ability. Yeah. But if it becomes commodified, not only will you have ability, you will be way more lucid throughout. And you potentially have some power outside of it to like curate certain things and whatnot.
It's weird though, because it feels like I just don't see, unless there's like things with physical, like we basically live in like Alien and they're synthetics. You know what I mean? Like android people or people who are like holograms that you can touch and they're real. Like I don't see how, I could see how like that could fill the void. I think
augmented reality is the start. I think augmented reality is a start where it's like you put something on, it's your normal environment with added elements, right? And especially if you're someone who's like not particularly touchy with folks, or you're in a wheelchair or like bedridden, etc., like, or germaphobe, whatever it might be, like the haptic feedback of other people and everything is not super necessary, right? Yeah. But if it works enough, if the augmented reality thing shows signs of like, oh, it's actually working for a lot of people, blah, 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 then you best believe people behind the scenes with tons of money are going to be working on like, well, what would be the next logical step? It's like, well, that you can actually feel this person, that you could smell them, that you could,
They're stanky.
Yeah.
The stinkiest AI in town.
Right. Or maybe in the future and down the road afterwards, we'll maybe look back on anything that had haptic feedback and be like, wow, we were so like, that's so old school. Because
I was just thinking that.
Now everything is just like done in the brain and experienced in the brain without you having to move, get hurt or anything. But whilst you're in that world, everything's physical and feels physical because sensation and everything is just signals in the brain, like being sent to you. So you can simulate all of like sensations technically.
I mean, I don't think that's like super far off to think that like the old way of living is old school in the same way that like, there's such a huge gap in the way that like, I think me growing up and like, all of me and my friends' parents, like all of them were in like shitty relationships, but they like tried to like stay together for this like nuclear family thing.
Yeah.
And like our generation doesn't do that. You know what I mean? And we look at like, why would you stay with someone that you don't love for the sake of just like having a family that's dysfunctional, you know? And who is to say that like it doesn't get to a point where we figure out a way to just like, hey, I mean, figure out we already know how to do it. Like literally, like we could be fish people. We could just bust a nut into a thing, and then okay, cool. That's how we reproduce. Yeah. And we have our little AI people and our little Chobit, and we just like hang out and like.
Yeah, but is that the world we want to live in, right? I feel like we have
not me, but you know, I think it's like the context is what makes it, right? It's like the like.
But the context is just like, literally is like, oh, there's a supply, creating a supply for a demand. The demand is a cure to
happiness.
It's happiness. A cure to loneliness. So we will provide you that. And it's like, this to me feels like the wrong path for humanity to take.
Absolutely.
Because it feels like we're just hiding the boo-boo. We're putting a massive Band-Aid over a massive wound.
It makes me wonder though, like is that just like I agree with I'm devil's advocate here, okay? But like I'm just saying, like, is that just like because we perceive life to be a certain way and that like we're not even meant, like not meant, but like we evolved past that societally. Like the idea of like you have to be in like the idea of like, oh, a monogamous relationship or just relationships with people or whatever. Yeah. Like what if we moved past that and society as a whole ended up happier in a way? Like, is that wrong?
Yes, because it's not a real happiness. It's like huffing nitrous, you know, and just like, and feeling like an elevated sense of like euphoria, but it's not because things are actually better. You're just thinking you're feeling better because of like the chemical change.
You kind of had me at nitrous for real.
No, but you see what I'm saying? It's like, I think if like we are pack animals, you know, and I think if we abandon the pack, right, then we fail.
Yeah.
I feel like we fail as a society. Then we just become not a society, we just become
like dopamine.
Just become individuals.
Just individuals.
Just individuals. But the problem is like individually we're so weak, and the people who have money are very organized and will be able to take advantage of that. So anything that like in my mind pushes us further away from a more like organized structure worries me. And it feels like, as I said, like if the issue is depression or loneliness or whatever, putting the Band-Aid of like immediate dopamine or serotonin or whatever hormone, that's just like hiding that wound, but it's festering underneath. I think there is definitely a way to incorporate AI and all these things in the future that feel almost inevitable into a healthy society to make it better and help it. I think, again, in the medical field, I think it'll be very helpful potentially. In the therapy, I think it'll be helpful. Maybe practicing for like theater and all these other things.
For sure. I think there's like a billion. I think realistically, what is actually going to happen is those types of things will be super hardwired into how we live our lives, but it'll become like a second nature thing, and people will not. It'll become like, I don't think realistically it's like everybody's going to like, oh man, I need my little Chobit that I have sex with. I think it'll be more like what you're saying. And then there will be like that in porn or that in like, that thing will exist, like relationships will exist. But I think it's going to be like a taboo thing. Not taboo, but like frowned upon.
We already have our Chobits. They're just very small and they fit in our pockets at the moment. And they don't look very sexy on their own and do all the things we would want them to do, but they're pretty close. They give us access to everything. They show us the things we want to, you know, they can capture the things we want. Like it can already do a lot. I just feel like we naturally gravitate towards these kinds of things, and it's because we live, I guess maybe it's inevitable that under a capitalist structure, just anything that can yield profits will always be tapped into and exploited for profits. And it just so happens that technologically and socially, we're moving towards a place. Socially, we're moving towards a place where we are lonelier and sadder. But technologically, we're flying towards a place where, possibilities are becoming more and more boundless. And I think it's natural for a lot of people to be like, wow, one could cure the other. I think AI is supposed to help us, but it cannot be the cure for this, because I think the root issue is that we're so alienated from the products that we create, but also alienated in terms of like from one another. I think we are more and more disconnected as a people. And I guess just like commodifying happiness, which already exists in many ways. You could argue antidepressants or just buying shit in general. It can make people happy,
having some kind of just dopamine of like, this new thing.
Getting buying someone's nudes, going to a strip club, getting really tasty food. There's like already things that we can do that we already do, and it doesn't make us like awful people or make us like really far from one another. But it's just the thing with AI in particular just removes that other human component.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when it becomes just you and all these things that are not human, created by human, but like so that you don't ever have to interact with a human. I think it makes it more likely that you're going to be antisocial.
How do you feel about like games that are like real life replacements? Like not like The Sims, but there was something, I can't remember what it was, but I remember back in the like early to mid 2000s, there was an online game, I think it still exists, where you can like spend real money and make real money.
Oh yeah. Fuck, I forgot the name of it. I know what you're talking about. It looks like shit, but
it looks terrible, but like
I mean, MMOs, people do that with MMOs as well. Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, for sure.
Warcraft was a common one.
My thing is like, this feels like the evolution of whatever that is. Yeah. Which in reality, I think most like healthy or well-adjusted people who even like know life some of these games can separate these two.
But it's still people on the other side.
For sure.
And I think that's what makes it different. People are more so connecting with that than they are with like dating sim game characters. Sure, there are people who are like he's my husbando.
Yeah, but I feel like that's like akin to like reading a book.
Right.
That's like a different thing.
Right. But when you're interacting with another person, a fully fleshed out person, it's like, so do you think so long as... But, okay, I wonder if anyone's doing this already as an experiment. In that game that you're talking about, what if someone builds an AI model? Second Life, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
What if someone builds an AI model that like imitates a person, goes into Second Life, starts making friends with someone else, blah, blah. Could it happen? The moment it happens and it's kind of convincing enough, like we've already taken that next step. We're now like flirting with things and it's kind of hard to tell if it's a person or not. Yeah. The moment that becomes a real thing, in a genuine way, I think is when it's like a point of no return.
Yeah.
It's like becomes inevitable. In which case, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it should be outlawed. I think none of these things should be outlawed. But it's like there's a reason for regulations. I know, like when people hear regulations, like, oh man, why would you like want to involve the government, the one thing that fucks everything up in so much of your personal life? And the reality is, it's like, I want to hold them to a higher standard. I do think they're fucking up 100%. And I wouldn't trust them with everything because of their track record the moment. But I think we should ultimately live in a world where like, that's what we trust them to do. Just like we trust other professions. We trust like scientists to figure shit out. We trust engineers to figure shit out. We trust doctors to figure shit out.
Yeah, it's complicated too, though, because it's like, I think that there should be regulation on this stuff. But how does one like, when you lay out what this is, right? Because it's a thing that's gonna like slowly make it. It's not gonna be some like hot new thing. Yeah. That thing that slowly integrates itself, like a lot of AI stuff is doing, right? Like. It's gonna be a thing that slowly integrates itself till we get to a point where we're acclimated to the idea of like, here's my little friend in my phone, you know what I mean, or whatever the thing is. And when someone's like not doing anything like illegal, right? Like the idea of like, oh, like this is your like AI girlfriend or whatever. Like that isn't like an illegal idea. Like where does it?
There needs to be just the same as like with like owning a gun. It's technically not illegal. It depends. There's just like you need to get like a permit for it. You know, maybe performing some sort of. It's similar to the
Like a
regulations I would push
psychological
for like for weapons. You know, like I think that like America is in a place, unfortunately, where it's just like I don't think it's possible for y'all to just like take all the guns out anymore, like just too many guns in people's personal
Yeah,
possessions
it
and
would get
stuff.
crazy. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if that's the case, then like at least the next step should be harsher regulations.
Yeah.
Because like when you go to a gun range, those people take that shit really seriously because they know their lives are on the line. If they don't teach you well, they could be harmed. You know what I'm saying? If they're not careful. And it's like, okay, they understand, and they're a gun nut jobs. You know, I think most gun nut jobs know that this shit, a gun is not a toy. It can make you happy. You can be autistic for guns, and a lot of men are, right?
Yeah.
But it's ultimately not a toy. So maybe have like stronger regulations around like owning a gun, maybe making it a bit more of a pain in the ass, basically, to own a gun, and that's why so many people don't want it because they're like,
well,
that's
the thing is like in South Carolina, like where I was growing up. I mean, I don't know how it is in North Carolina, but I imagine it's not too different. But you could just like go without a license, without any permit, anything. I could go to a Walmart and be like, hey man, I want a 357 and I need it today, and I need this kind of ammo.
Yeah.
Do you have it? Cool. You're out of there in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, my problem with that is like, I don't want dumb motherfuckers to be able to do that, right? And I think
and it's a lot of them, bro.
And there's a lot of them. So I'm just saying like, okay, let's make it so that it's just like, it's a little harder to get. Just like a car is harder to get than most items. You need insurance, you need all these things, right?
Gun insurance.
Exactly. Some sort of thing like, because with a car, you could kill a person if you're not careful. With a gun, you could kill a person if you're not careful, right? I think we need more regulations. And I think with AI, it's something we need to be thinking ahead of time too. And we're talking about specifically, because a lot of people, whenever the topic of AI comes up, there's a lot of people who have like very surface level opinions on like one or two AI things here and there. We're specifically talking about AI being applied as a solution to loneliness.
Like,
you know?
Well, I would also say just not just loneliness, but like emotional problems.
Yeah.
Like, because it started off with like, oh, like if an AI could exist where you could just like go kill this dude who bullied you in high school, and there'd be like super realistic, but there'd be no consequences for it, and you pay out the wazoo to do it, which like, is that okay? And I think that's like falls in the same.
Yeah, like that's too much. But then as we started exploring it more, like, yeah, like even kissing an AI, I'm like, okay, at that point it's like,
it's kind of hot.
Maybe there need to be certain evaluations before you can use certain type of like AI stuff in the future, that you need to get evaluated like for certain things, because otherwise they're like, this is gonna break your brain. Like you seeing your dead wife, you want to go into this thing to see your dead wife and kids, like, and you think this is gonna be good for you.
Yeah.
And you're gonna come out of there, you not wanting to come out of there or crying, or like, you don't know what that's gonna do.
I got it. What you just said, like for every scenario, you have to explain your intent.
Yeah.
And like sit down with a psychologist or a psychologist, I guess, because they're not prescribing you anything.
Yeah.
Like you sit down with a psychologist and you go like, hey, I want to see my dead relatives, the ones that died in a car crash, and they have to say, how did they die? Did you see them die? What was go deep into this thing.
Why are you trying to see them?
And then they can sit there and go like, okay, listen, this isn't healthy and you don't need to do this.
Right, but then who decides what is healthy? Who decides?
I would say the psychologist would decide.
Right. So it's kind of like basically like what a doctor, just like you refer to a doctor.
Yeah.
It would have to be a doctor though, because I still think ultimately it needs to be a psychiatrist, because you're prescribing them the AI treatment, you know?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Like, for instance, I could totally see AI being mixed in with like, you know how there's like a whole thing with ketamine being explored for therapy.
Yes.
What if you are able to combine ketamine and augmented reality a bit, for certain things?
I already do, brother.
I do think there's like certain phantom pains, emotional phantom pains that
Metal Gear Solid reference? Sorry.
can be resolved. You know how for people who've lost an arm or a hand, a common complaint is it's like
It hurts.
it hurts and it feels like their fist is like.
My dad was like, when he lost his leg.
No, they couldn't let go. He can't relax their fist.
When my dad lost his leg, he would say like all the time that it felt like his foot was like cramping.
Yes. So that's a common thing. So what oftentimes people do is like put this contraption in front of you that's like that you slide your arm into, the one that you have, and there's like a mirror. But they ask you to slide both your hands in or like pretend like at the same time, at the same speed. And as you do it, your brain sees it, and they tell you like ball your fists up, push it through. You come through, and it looks like you have your two arms.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And they tell you like relax them both, and you get rid of that phantom pain that way.
That's cool.
So that's like a way of doing it, right? I guess it's like partially psychosomatic or whatever it is. Perhaps there is like emotional crampings that can be resolved, like certain things of like that didn't have resolution, right? Losing someone in like a super traumatic PTSD way and not having like but maybe that's a problem. Like that's how life is. Sometimes you don't get to say goodbye to the people. You don't get to say all these things. Like, is that healthy? Is that unhealthy? Does it matter?
I feel like it's this, and I know this might be like a really like simplified version of this, but you remember like when cheat codes were like really popular in video games? Right? Like it's like every game had cheat codes and you could put them in and they bought these.
I bought books.
Yeah. I had so many of these books and they had all these cheat codes in them and was like, oh shit. Like, okay. So like Turok 2. You ever play that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's a thing at the end. The big cheat is beware oblivion is at hand. And you put that cheat in and you can go, you're invincible, you have infinite ammo, you can go to any of the levels and it fucking ruins the game.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like as a kid, you'd put it in and you'd play it once like that and you'd be like, cool, I don't want to play this anymore unless I want to like just like blow people up and see gore, you know?
Remember when we were putting the trash in the trash chute the other day and I started punching the fuck out of it just so that it would fit in, right?
Yeah.
I think the haptic feedback of getting your frustration out allows it to happen. Because technically, it's this in a sense you're right because like throwing shit around and breaking them in one of the rooms designated for it will never quite feel the same way if you did it in your office, like and actually letting out of your system, just like holy shit, it'll never be quite the same, but
it's a nice little.
It'll be a nice little substitute, and I think ultimately that's what it needs to be.
For sure. I just think what I was getting at was like when we have the answer for everything, right? Like when we have, okay, I know that there's like certain closures that I'll never have in my life. And I've like made peace with that through like therapy and like things like that, right? I feel like when you have access to simulated closures, it
won't feel the same way.
It almost like takes the stakes away from life a little in the same way that like a cheat code does in a game.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's right. Like people are supposed to like go through life and like fucked up things happen to them, and that's like how life works.
But it doesn't though. But it doesn't, because if we start to alter things, then it doesn't. It's like if you're born if you're born with no tits, you'll have no tits forever. It's like, no, I can get tits, or like, no, I could sidestep this and that. And we're now traversing like, it's still like really new and it's not being tested on people, but like genetic code editing, right?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna be able to like, well, if you're born ginger, life sucks. Like, well, you don't have to be ginger. I don't know why I picked ginger. I was gonna say more so like if you have a peanut allergy. I apologize to all the ginger followers. I'm just saying like, what if like you wanted to change something about yourself, and then you could, and in a way that we couldn't possibly imagine in the 100 or 200 years
that's
ago.
not really what I'm saying though. I mean that is true. Like now, you know, and I don't think that that's bad, right? But I think that like,
But how's that
part
different
of,
is what I'm saying.
part of the human experience is like, some people, their mom's gonna get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Some people, like, their dog's gonna die.
Yeah.
Some people, like, they're gonna do something that like really hurts someone, and then they have to deal with the fact that they hurt someone.
But what if they don't want to deal with it, and now there's a company out there that helps them not deal with it forever? They can return to their wife.
That is when we all die. That is when like humanity is gone.
But I know, and I hate to sound like these fucking tech bros, but I feel like it's not that far away. I think it might happen within our lifetimes, you know, like
absolutely,
where
dude, just
it gets commodified.
The fact, I hate to be like the broken record, but the fact that it's like 10 years ago, if you were to talk about like AI, you're talking about like Cleverbot or something like that, right? I got on Cleverbot the other day and I was like, holy shit, this sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Compared to like a chat GPT.
Yeah. And like, if you look at that versus now where it's like, cool, I'm watching something and like, I'm commissioning art from someone and I'm like, are they using AI or not?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a movie on Twitter or video on Twitter and it's like, oh, cool, is this like actually a trailer for a movie or is this some like made up shit that someone just figured out because like there's some new update to their new fucking AI shit. So now it's like you can, oh cool, like you can watch Captain America get sucked off by Spider-Man and it looks real. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. Like it's like the fact that we've seen that big of a jump in this short amount of time. 50 years from now, it's gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah. And under capitalism, it's always going to be profit driven. And the way I see it is always people are just going to be out there thinking like, what do people want? People are lonely. People don't want to be lonely anymore. What do we have? Well, we have these new tools that maybe we could kind of simulate certain parts of the human experience. Maybe that would make certain people less lonely. And then maybe we could package it and sell it to them as an experience. That's all it takes. And it's going to happen. And it's, of course, people who have, there's certain companies that are going to have an edge, all the oligopolies, Apple, Meta, Alphabet, all these places, because they have most data. They have more data than anyone else. They have more money than anyone else. They have more progress in that particular technology. They have engineers and like scientists assigned to that, right? And there's just not much in the way of like government oversight. They're kind of operating as their own governments, but ultimately their decisions are going to impact all of us. And yet we get to vote on our governments, our local politicians, et cetera, but we don't get to vote for like the chairman board rooms and the people who are going to be in those boardrooms who make the decisions on our behalf forever, you know? I worry that we're heading towards a point where we're going to continue to look for solutions to loneliness outside of like each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The solution is we're all people, we're all human. We should have each other. Like there should be a structure organized where we have, it doesn't mean every person has to help each single person or know everyone or get along with everyone. That's not what I mean. I just mean like a society that functions for its society, you know, like a village that takes care of itself type shit. And I do hope, I guess all I can hope for is that with all these new things happening so quickly and it's so scary that perhaps it will like shake people up and get people to like discuss it enough and push for regulations enough where like we start to see like a bunch of new regulations being unveiled in the next couple of years. Some in response to what's happening now, some preemptively, because we need to apply hindsight here.
Right.
Like we need to, and this is just one facet of AI. Like we're not even talking about all the millions of other things where AI is like a thing. It's specifically like AI as a cure for loneliness.
Well, I feel like this is one of those things that, okay, I'm not trying to prioritize this over like people losing their job, like artists losing their jobs, right? But I think like, okay, societally, like when things, I don't want this to happen, by the way, just saying this, okay? But societally, like when like things happen where like the Industrial Revolution happens, right? And then a bunch of people like start working in factories versus doing whatever this is, handmade or whatever, right? Like humanity adapted, right? Like we figured it out, okay? And I think that if like entertainment became like the doomsday, the shit we rap about in and things will get much worse from here. If that happens, we as a society will figure it out and move on, right?
Yeah.
It will alter life and life will suck, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I worry that, okay, so like if AI exists and it gets to a point where like AR, like, or whatever, like gets to a point where you can have an indistinguishable relationship and have the best sex of your life with someone who gets you in and out in a way that a human cannot, because we are flawed, but AI is perfect, right? Like they'll figure out they'll know every little bit of your body language. You'll look down a little bit and they can realize you're sad and they're never wrong, right?
Yeah.
Why would you have a relationship?
Yeah.
Like, if that is like a normal thing, why would you not?
Yeah, what would be the incentive to
yeah, exactly. And it's just like, and that will be like a thing that will greatly impact like humankind, I think.
100%. I feel like it would be very, very unfortunate for us if we continued down that path without like at least more lucidity. It feels like we're stumbling into the future kind of drunkenly. We need to be more deliberate, our eyes open, and I don't know, man. I guess it's easier said than done, but we'll see what happens. I remain hopeful. I have, of course, cynicism.
I also feel like I am thinking from like a doomsday kind of way, and I think that like I think that like nature has a way of course correcting a lot of times. Maybe
planet Earth will wipe us out.
Yeah. I feel like, we're not even gonna make it that far. Honestly, like just give me my chobit while the fucking meteor hits us or the Earth fucking explodes.
Well, there's no meteor that's gonna hurt us, but climate change will definitely.
It's a climate change meteor. I've made it canon. Okay. Yeah. It's in my head canon.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it's it literally the Gaia smites us. You know what I'm saying? So
I do think things will get much worse from here, though.
Yeah,
I truly do. Things will get worse before they get better. But I guess the light at the end of the tunnel for me of my optimism or my take on this is that I do think things will eventually get better. I just worry that the only thing I think about is like how bad do things need to get for us to kind of organize and fall in line behind like commonly shared beliefs. It's so hard when there's like so many people in the mix who are not interested in that and are using people's ignorance and frustration to just like cultivate a business for themselves. Oops.
What the hell?
To cultivate sorry, excuse me. Our camera fell over.
Our camera fell off for real.
But you know what I'm saying? You get me?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Anyway, it looks like since the camera is starting to die, I think it's our cue to start wrapping things up. Why don't we talk quickly about Patreon? Now, here's a challenge, Bill. I need you to talk about this Patreon thing that we have. And like, you're an old man.
Clint Eastwood?
You're an old man trying to sell people into Patreon. You just woke up from a 40-year-old coma and you gotta talk about it.
Wait, 40 years. What would that be? That's
you would 80s? Be 91, 8. You'd be 98.
Okay. I thought I was waking up at current times.
Okay.
So I would have been in a coma since the 80s. Is that what we're at right now?
Oh no, I thought like 40 years from. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, no. I'm like, hey, put your chobit down. Stop fucking your chobit. It's time to go on Patreon. Listen, $5. I bet you spend that on a date with your chobit, you freak. Would you take your chobit down to the Red Lobster, which is still around for some reason? So listen, $5. You see this episode right here? There's another one waiting for you for every episode that we got. So put that shit down. Stop fucking on it and get to clicking and spending the money. What's that? $20. Well, if you're a big spender like me, I spend $20 all the time after the coma.
There we go.
Okay. Anyway, $20. You can be in the beginning of the video as the patron we thank, but then also, I know you got some advice for him. I'm sorry. I know you got some advice that you need. We'll give it to you. You sorely need it. I'm very uncomfortable with this camera. Anyway, voidfm.net. Go on there and come hang out. Oh yeah, I just said that you got some advice you need, and you could ask us advice on the Discord bi-weekly. That's 2 times a month, I heard.
KeepTheChangeTour.com. You go there and look where it takes you. Boom.
KeepTheChangeTour.com.
These are all the cities.
This has already happened, by the way, because it's the future. It was the best tour.
No, but it hasn't. Not actually. You're gonna confuse people.
It hasn't happened yet.
The tour's coming up.
The tour's coming up, but it's also...
Shut the fuck up. KeepTheChangeTour.com. It's happened.
KeepTheChangeTour.com.
If you see the ages, if there's ages indicated, then that's the age limit. Otherwise, it's all ages. So y'all ain't even got to worry about it. It's, it's 30 cities. Please come out. That's next month. And the month after that. Come see us. KeepTheChangeTour.com. voidfm.net for our Patreon. EXOCIETY.net for some of our merch. Google.com. You want to look some up, I guess.
Got some searching to do.
You gotta do some soul searching.
You have such pretty eyes.
This is what I was trying to do with you too. Just you can look over here while I'm doing it. Yeah.
Hey there. Come to the tour. George.
Give us a message to sign off on.
As old man?
Just yourself this time.
But see us on tour. Be good. Praise Jesus the Christ. He will save us all.
Bye.
The following is a preview of this week's Patreon exclusive episode. Available now over on the Void FM podcast Patreon.
This is Dress to Impress.
I have yet to see a Roblox game that I find actually scary though.
Oh no! This is this guy is focusing me!
Sorry, we looked away just for a second, folks, and of course Mitch already died. The disco balls are making quick work of him.
What the heck was that?